Get a Job in Tech, episode 440. How you can overcome your anxiety, basically, for searching for a job. So, why is applying for a job so stressful? You may ask yourself. It's definitely a daunting process. So, the uncertainty of not knowing when or if you'll hear back from a potential employer can cause significant stress. The waiting period often leaves you with feeling doubt or discouragement, especially if the responses are slow or non existent. If the job application process itself definitely can be a bit much, as companies often require multiple steps, such as submitting your resume, complete application, taking a bunch of tests, crafting tailored resumes and cover letters, preparing portfolios, and managing multiple applications simultaneously can contribute to a sense of being overwhelmed. So, anxiety symptoms. So, mentally, physically. So, feeling worried, overwhelmed, irritable, self doubt, or a sense of impeding panic by your job search. Experiencing fatigue, maybe you're changing an appetite, having trouble sleeping or concentrating, sweating, trembling, shaking, worried about your job. So, how do you overcome this? It's not really, I don't know, there's a guaranteed way to overcome this, but let's try to manage through it. So, really maintain your perspective. And what I mean by is if you take your hands and you move them apart, so take your hands, move them shoulder width apart, let's say, and that represents your competition, so to speak. So your main goal, focus, if you will, or your main goal is to get that number smaller. So your hands will be smaller. So that's your competition. And how do you do that? So you first start out and say, really maintain your perspective. Recognize that the job search is really a temporary phase, eventually leading to opportunities. Maintain a long-term view so you can reduce the pressure of you place on yourself. So stay positive, definitely. Cultivate a positive mindset. Make a plan. This is really key. So break down your job search into smaller, manageable tasks. So you have this competition. So how do you get that smaller? Start thinking to yourself, this job is in a major city. Great. Now, how many people have this skill? What is the skill that they don't have? Have these individuals, are they from here? Do they know the people? Are they willing to take less money? Are they out of towners? And sometimes your job search, is to look for a similar job in another city and pretend like you're going to go to that job in the other city and interview as such and put your resume, etc. And what you're after how do you overcome this anxiety is a little bit of reminding yourself it's a process and you got to do some homework here. So you're getting practice. When you go in these job interviews somewhere else, you're giving yourself some practice, if you will. So you're giving yourself a little bit of a self-talk, if you will. So you're going to these interviews, you're doing it well, you're great, you're fantastic. And then you may get the job offer somewhere else. You don't want to go work there, but you're going to give it. And that's a win. So that's a small win. You're going to celebrate that win, no matter how small it is, no matter how the job opportunity, just celebrate that because you're trying to get your confidence up and you're trying to understand the play out there, the playbook, if you will, the plan. And after, let's say, 6 or 7 days, just take a day off. And so the other thing is to find support. If you know individuals, friends, families who live elsewhere, who have these jobs, ask their advice. Ask like, hey, do you know any companies hiring out there? Know your finances. You got to know your finances. Like know exactly what you're going to willing to take. So assess your financial situation to understand how much, you can call it runway, if you will, you have during your job search. Definitely create a budget, identifying areas for cost cutting while you search. And that can alleviate your financial stress and allow you to focus just on job searching. Maintain a schedule. So basically, this is your job essentially. Establish a daily routine, let's say 4 or 5 hours a day, a structured schedule that helps you maintain a sense of control and ensures that you stay focused on your job search. And use a checklist to track your progress and keep yourself accountable. Set realistic goals. For example, if you're a help desk admin and your goal is to have $300,000 a year, CEO, it's unrealistic. You got to start with your job skill and what it entails. If you need to learn a new skill, learn another skill. And get a lot of no's. So reframe rejection as a learning experience rather than a personal failure. Analyze feedback from interviews or applications and identify areas for improvement. And definitely remember what you're worth. Don't overextend yourself and know what you're worth. And don't promise everything. A thing that I had to deal with myself is I can do all these things in IT, let's just say. But they don't care about that. They just want me to be focused on one thing for this company. One thing. That's it. Not 5 things, one thing. Because we have other people that know the other stuff. The benefit you have in knowing those 5 things, but working on one thing, is you know how some of the systems work. And you're understanding, and you're able to talk to other teams and understand how their job function is. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next one.